Okay, it's 6:01. I think we can get it started on time and start with some housekeeping items. So hello, everyone. Welcome to join our UW Communication Leadership Graduate Program February 1st Friday events. We're so happy to have you all to join us on a Friday night. My name is Liao Zhao. I am the head of outreach at Communication Leadership team. And today I also have two of my colleagues to join us together. And they are Associate Director, Gretchen Ludwig. Hi, Gretchen.
Hi,
And
everybody.
also, yes, and also our program event coordinator, Evelyn. And Evelyn, yes, Evelyn will help you to sign the breakout room later. So before we get it started, I want to give you a really quick review about what we're going to do tonight. So first, we'll start with a 20 minutes panel session, and then followed by a 30 minutes breakout room session. And during the breakout room session, the first 15 minutes, we'll have our panelists to get into two breakout rooms, and Evelyn will assign you to one of them randomly. And then for the second 15 minutes, every panelist will have their own breakout room. So you can further connect with them and ask any questions that you are interested in. And if you are finished with the conversation in one room, and you can come back to the main Zoom room and re-enter another one. You get to know this from our classes. Yeah, so I know that for our students and alumni, currently many of you are looking for full-time jobs or summer internships or making transition in your career path. Definitely it's a job searching season. So today we're very lucky and to have 5 panelists together, and they have rich recruiting and career coaching experience. We have a conversation together to talk about tips for job hunting and best practice for landing a job in post-COVID-19. So let me pause here and start by introducing our panelists one by one. So I will first read all of your names, and then I will invite you to introduce your organization and also your role. So our panelists are Cyril Williams. She is the University Recruiting Talent from Square. Hi, Cyril. And then we have Andrea Kobol, and she is the founder and CEO for College to Career Academy. And she is also the founder for Time for Coffee. I know that students, probably you have already seen that in our Eventbrite page, and this is a great resources that you can go to for Time for Coffee. And we also have Tanya Alexander Dibuvis, and she is Division Director and Permanent Placement at the Creative Group. Welcome, Tanya. And we also have Jacqueline Levy, and she is the Talent Acquisition Analyst at Slalom. Welcome, Jacqueline. And we also have Gabriel Vodes Mopatida, and he is the Senior Product Marketing Manager and MBA Recruiting Liaison from Microsoft. So Gabriel has a tight schedule tonight, so he would join our panel session first and then leave at 6:30 before we start the breakout room. So hi, Gabriel. We appreciate your time for being with us. And I know that we're supposed to have Marshalling Holbrick from C+C as well, but she has a family emergency comes up today, so she's not able to join us. But she mentioned that she's happy to join a Furniture Come Lead networking event. So just let everyone know. So let me pause here. I just want to say thank you so much for everyone to join us today. And now I would turn it to our panelists and to let them introduce themselves. So first, for our panelists, could you please use a few words and to introduce your organization and also your role in the company? So how about we start with the introduction order? Start with Cyril from Square.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for inviting me to come speak tonight. I'm excited to hear questions and answer questions as best as I can, of course, but my name is Cyril Williams. I am the University Program Manager at Square, and I've been with Square for about 5 years, which is, I know, a lifetime to be in one tech company, given how dynamic and fluid that industry can be.
Thank you, Cyril. And next goes to Andrea.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Koppel. I am the founder and CEO of College to Career Academy, which is a coaching school that I founded, and the Time for Coffee podcast. That's time, the number 4, Coffee, which is a platform for college students and young professionals to hear directly from professionals in dozens of different industries about what they do and how they built their careers.
Thank you, Andrea. So Tanya, you're the next.
Sure, thank you. Great to see everybody. Great to see and look forward to hearing everyone. I am with the Creative Group, and the Creative Group is a division of Robert Half. We specialize in marketing and creative roles, really entirely across the board. Robert Half is a worldwide company with many other divisions, but for the purpose of this conversation, we staff both contract and FTE roles. And my branch, specifically here in Seattle, covers the greater Seattle area. I'm the division director, as Liao said, for permanent placement. I also work as an account manager, so strictly client facing on the contract side of the business. It's a lot of information, but we fill roles. We have clients locally, and we fill roles both on a temp and permanent basis. My personal background, I pivoted. I had been in marketing for 20 too many years, and I then pivoted to recruiting and staffing. So that's my story.
Thank you, Tanya.
You're welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Jacqueline. Jacqueline, I think you mute yourself.
I know, right? You think I'd get to it. Hi guys, I'm Jacqueline, and Slalom, we are a modern consulting firm, and we specialize in business transformation, technology, and strategy. But just because we're in technology doesn't mean that we don't need communications and how valuable that is. I personally support our internal teams, our internal global teams. Now we're global. It's crazy after last year. We opened up like in Tokyo and Australia, and it's still really awesome and cool and new. But we actually are hiring for a director of global communications and a director of internal communications. So I thought, hey, why not come jump in and meet you guys? So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Okay, Gabriel, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes, you're pronouncing it right. Thank you for inviting me to be here. So I'm Gabriel. I am a PMM in the modern work organization in Microsoft. I focus on Outlook and time management. I've been at Microsoft for 8 years, pretty much since I started my career after business school. And I went to business school in Michigan, where I also helped with recruiting.
Thank you, Gabriel, and welcome to join us. So let me start with the first question to our guests who work as recruiters. So to Jacqueline from Slalom and to Cyril from Square. Our students are eager to know, so could you please explain your recruiting process pre-COVID-19 in your company and let us know what changes or improvements have you made in this process after COVID-19, post-COVID-19?
Yes, I'm happy to jump in, or who, totally up to the order.
Sarah, since you already start to talk, why don't you just keep going?
I've already co-opted the conversation. Yeah, I would say probably the biggest changes that we made from a recruiting perspective, pre and post COVID, we did have a little bit of a pause as COVID was hitting, just to kind of evaluate what is happening with our business, what is happening with our merchants and sellers. But honestly, with a short period of kind of slowing recruitment just to kind of see what was going on, we've actually been hiring since gangbusters shortly thereafter. But I would say before COVID, of course, we really wanted to have high touch, like candidate experience and deliver the best candidate experience possible. So we were flying folks to our offices, right? And so after COVID, we needed to get really creative because, again, we still wanted to provide that amazing in-office experience as best as we could. But how could we do that through a screen? So our recruiting coordination team was really creative, and they came up with these kind of ways to interact with the company if you are interviewing with us, with different snapshots and like 3D images like of our offices and videos of our different offices. If you're going to be interviewing otherwise in person for that particular location, they were really creative with coming up with that solution of still being able to kind of interact with the office, so to speak, without physically being there.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing. Jacqueline, your turn.
Yeah, now that you asked it, I was remembering back to when I actually onboarded and went through the hiring process with Slom, so I can totally speak to it, but it was taking me back, like it's been so long now. But yeah, my first conversation was at a coffee shop, and it was live and in person, and to think of how long ago that was and how foreign it is, it's crazy. But speeding up to now, those, you know, conversations are virtually now over video, just like this. So that's why this is definitely my normal every day. But what's really cool that's changed as well is the onboarding process and like, you know, like a new hire orientation we have for all of our new employees. And I remember going into it and, you know, I was in a room and I got to network and meet everyone else. And now a whole year and a couple of months later, our whole new hire orientation is a virtual video game. And it's just mind blowing. It's just so cool to see what, you know, when you're put in a position to really think outside the box and get creative and just like a whole new level. It's just so cool to see like your work, your company be a video game. It's just so cool. Like your CEO is on like a real life, you know, emoji, or it's just crazy. It's just super cool. But those are just some of the changes that are really cool.
Indeed, that's very cool. Sounds very cool. Thank you, Jacqueline. Awesome. So my next question goes to Gabriel from Microsoft. So that's a question that our students ask a lot. So for complete students and alumni, how could they use Microsoft Career website to both focus their job search, but also jump to start informational talks and recruiting?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question and a great way to start for recruiting on Microsoft is the careers website. And I would say there's a key thing at Microsoft, which is networking. Like networking at Microsoft is super important to get the position and the role that you want, or at least know what the role is about. What I would recommend is that you go to the careers website and then you search for the role that you want, or at least what you want to do between if you want to do PR, if you want to do marketing, if you want to do finance, at least find a couple roles in those areas, and then reach out to someone that works at Microsoft. I know David is around, so he's a great contact for that. And the advantage that we have as employees is that we can take that role that you have and we can see who is the hiring manager. So from that, we can start seeing, we can give you a couple of options for an informational. We can contact you with someone in that team that can tell you more about the role, what it means, how to get in touch with it, what's the best way to apply. And there's also, for recent grads, there are specific ways to apply in the careers website, because there's industry hires, but there's also a different track for if you're a recent grad. That doesn't need you to apply to specific roles. You just need to apply to an area. So you can apply to marketing, you can apply to finance, and then you will be set up for a role that fits you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabriel, for sharing this insights. By the way, David Evans is our faculty member, so just if you don't know him yet. Okay, thanks. So the next question goes to Andrea from College to Create Academy and Tanya from the Creative Group. So I know that both of you are very experienced with career coaching, and indeed that our students are very eager to connect with industry professionals and get first-hand career insights. So what is your top best practice advice on how to network with these professionals, especially how to be a standout networker in these COVID days? So maybe Andrea, you can go first.
Yeah, sure. So just to pick up on what Gabriel was saying, that is so important. I was waiting for him to say the other company that Microsoft owns, and that is LinkedIn. That is a golden key, my friends. And when I say that, I'm not recommending that you just press connect with every CEO, every C-suite person that you can find at your dream companies. I want you to be strategic about the way you network. So first, to Gabriel's point, you want to have a sense of what job you're looking for. So what the job function would be. And then you want to know what companies you're interested in. And then look and see, first of all, I want you to kind of be an investigator. And you can have your dream companies and maybe there aren't any openings there. Well, reach out to the people who have the title of the position that you want and have an informational interview. And when you reach out to them in your note, when you try to connect, you say, hey, how's it going? If you don't have anything in common, you can say, look, please have empathy for me. I'm somebody who's going to be graduating very soon, or I'm here as a student during the era of COVID. I would greatly appreciate 20 minutes of your time because I'm curious about what you do. And then when you get them on the phone, you start asking them about what they do in that job. And you take very careful notes. Ask them, what are the tools that they use the most? What are the skill sets that are most valuable? Take me into a typical day for you. Why is this important? Because then when you apply for similar jobs at other companies and recruiters are speaking with you, or your LinkedIn profile is highlighting those keywords on your profile. And then when you also have it in your resume, you have those keywords and the skill sets that recruiters are looking for. So that first and foremost would be my biggest tip about networking. Be strategic, be targeted, and don't just cast a super wide net, because going after C-suite people is not necessarily going to pay off in the short run.
These are really, really helpful tips. I even want to write them down. Thank you for sharing, Andrea and Tanya.
Yeah, obviously I would echo, and I don't want to repeat, but LinkedIn is incredibly important. And, you know, just to take it from a different angle, as a recruiter in an agency setting, when we have a position to fill, we are very much using a recruiting tool within LinkedIn that most normal people don't have access to, where we can really drill down into keywords, skill sets, location. I mean, all these things are incredibly important. So it's super important to update, you know, your critical information, you know, where you're located, what you're open to, really utilizing those keywords within your LinkedIn profile. And it's also an incredible place for social media networking. You know, there's groups on LinkedIn. I would really encourage people to go out, depending on your area of focus, just go out and find some groups to add to your profile, engage with them. You know, I mean, that's the best networking of all, is actually engaging. You know, it's one thing to just have it as a blip in your LinkedIn profile, but like really reach out and see what's going on. And I did share with Liao, and I think Evelyn just shared out. I tried to drill down. We have a lot of networking events that we go to find, you know, candidates, and also, you know, interact with clients. So I shared the ones that I thought would be most relevant for this group of students. And I would encourage you to see what's going on. You know, obviously they're all virtual, you know, where nobody's having cocktails face to face anymore, but you know, there's a lot of virtual events happening, and I would just stay close to those. There's links there. I would see what they, you know, some are definitely more active than others post-COVID, but I would encourage you to just check those out. I guess the other thing I would say is find a mentor. You know, that's the best networking of all. You know, if you know, have anyone that is in a profession that is sort of your dream, then, you know, kind of follow them around. What virtual events are they going to, and what are they doing right now? And then, you know, eventually the world will go back to some kind of normal, whatever that looks like. And, you know, I think it's really important to both have formal networking and then informal networking. So I would encourage that too.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanya, for
Welcome.
sharing. My next question is kind of related to the networking as well, but you already shared some good tips, but for everyone, for every of our panelists, I would love to ask for you to share 1 or 2 top tips with our students and alumni to help them prepare for the recruiting process. So maybe this time we can start with Gabriel, if you're ready.
I was just thinking of a couple. So if someone has something right on their head, please go ahead.
Jacqueline?
Yeah, I can jump in there, no problem, Gabriel. I totally agree with Tanya on the mentor and establishing like one solid relationship for somebody that you really look up to in a career sense, and that way they can give you some mentorship as well. So I really love that, Tanya. My thing would definitely be, I guess I'll jump on the LinkedIn train as well. Definitely utilize those, you guys are amazing at social media. Like still can't even grasp it. I feel, so aged, but use those skills and transfer that professionally on your, with your communication skill set, and, tap into a little marketing and creative there. And, you can really shine through there. It's utilized more than you would ever even think today, especially with high volume and lots of growth companies and with lots of roles. We lean heavily into technology and into LinkedIn for that. Where it's just easier and faster and quicker for us to get a glimpse of, who you are, what you've been doing, and all that stuff. So the best you can keep that up to date and really tap into what Andrea had spoke about, as well as your skills and, all that fun stuff. But one thing I want to add to those tools that were already kind of highlighted is to kind of keep what I call like a personal white paper. So kind of for yourself. So it's a little different than, your work and where you've worked, or your resume and where you've worked and your job responsibilities. It's more personalized for you. And it's something that you can really use in reference for interviews. So when you're telling your career story and you're telling your story and your goals and what you want to do, you can speak to it. And what I use and what I put on my white paper is something that I've carried with me since I was a student at UW. And that's where you want to put like your projects. That's where you want to put like your challenges. That's where you want, your successes, your, you can keep your certifications there as well. Anything that's educationally related or anything, any classes that you take, put on there. Add anything that you do to invest in yourself, put on there. But also it's a great spot to keep all your success stories or even your most challenging stories. So, that I don't know how much work, group projects you guys do in communications, but I'm sure you guys have to collaborate at some point. You have to work with some stakeholders. You have to have a client at some point, and really keeping track of what the situation was, what the challenges were, and what the results and the successes were, are stories that you can take with you and really tap into, when you need them the most, like those annoying interview questions that we ask you. So that's just the one thing I wanted to add to the 2 things that were awesome already.
Interesting. Andrew, would you like to go to next? Yeah.
I would love to. There's so much to say here. And if you don't know what we're talking about, when we say optimize your LinkedIn profile, put it in the chat. This is something we can play back to you. I would also say follow me on LinkedIn. I post with career advice, inspiration, insights every single day, 7 days a week. Think about the low-hanging fruit. So we just heard Jacqueline say she's a UW alum. That is your low-hanging fruit. Go on to LinkedIn, the search bar is right there. Put in University of Washington, Seattle, and you'll see a drop-down menu there. Go to the alumni page, click on that. There are like 4 to 6 different filters that you can use. I highly recommend that you put in there, you filter by the year, go back to 2008. And why do I say that? That was the last Great Recession. Anybody who graduated in 2008, 2009, 2010, is going to totally empathize with the situation that you are in right now. When you get on the phone and you have that informational interview, either one where you're sleuthing, trying to get those keywords to learn exactly what they do, and frankly, also to learn, is this a job that I would be interested in after all? One of the last questions that you want to ask is, do you know of any job openings that would be in this role at any other company? And do you have anybody that you would recommend that I could speak to who might be able to help me out in some way? That's a warm lead. Then you put that in your subject line when you reach out to that person, and they are guaranteed to reach out to you. One other thing I want to say is that when you are networking, why is it so important to do this? Because the vast majority, I want to say 80% of jobs, and our recruiters can chime in and tell me if I'm wrong, but 80% of the jobs that exist are not posted. It isn't always that they're holding it back for some nefarious reason. It may be that they haven't created it yet, but when they meet you, they're suddenly like, well, hold on a second, we were going to be posting for that, but you are amazing. Maybe we should have a job interview right now. So many of the jobs are not posted. So through the network, through the opportunity to get a referral to another job, that is going to be your ace in the hole.
Wow. That's really amazing, like to learn about all this details. And I think Sarah can let us know if it is true that most of the jobs, 80% of jobs are not being posted, and how we can get these jobs. And Sarah, your turn.
Yeah, so I think that's true for a lot of companies. At Square, we really try to be super transparent from start to finish, and we actually try to do some gut checks of if we are going to hire for a role, even if we do have some internal candidates, or we're thinking we're going to be hiring for a role but still kind of figuring out headcount, we still do really want to post those externally, just to kind of give those like that fair access and opportunity, if you will, as well as giving like the internal mobility options of people that are looking internally within a company. Maybe they're looking for their next job, but they don't want to leave Square. So we want to make sure those opportunities are shared. But I totally agree that in a lot of senses, exactly what you were saying, even if the job isn't posted yet, it might be in the works, right? So having that one conversation early on could really make a big difference in terms of landing that particular job before it goes quote unquote live. And another piece that I'd wanted to mention too about LinkedIn is an amazing tool. Myself as a recruiter, I absolutely use it, but there's also this other element, I think, of doing your due diligence as a job seeker. Use resources like Glassdoor. Just because you think you might want to work at a company doesn't mean that you still can't do a little bit of vetting, right? And I think there's a lot of tools out there that provide this added layer of like transparency or insight into a company, that as much as you want a job to choose you, you do want to be able to be in a position to be like, oh, I really want to choose this company because it really resonates with me, whether it's the company culture or the mission. And so really, again, to that point of digging into your alumni networks and the once removed type of warm intros that you're mentioning as well too. All of those are really, really helpful, I think, tools and avenues.
Thank you, Sarah. And Tanya, and any tips?
Anything else? I guess one thing I would say is, again, coming at it from the agency staffing perspective, just like LinkedIn and us going out and finding candidates, you can be proactive by going to our website, got to make that plug, and really looking at the jobs that we have available. The link, I think, is on Eventbrite, and not just our agency by any means, all of them. Really take advantage of going and browsing what's out there. And I guarantee you, the minute you upload your resume, and if it's formatted correctly and you do have the keywords in there, everyone is using artificial intelligence, okay? So every keyword that you have in your resume will be utilized in that data. And so when our recruiters, on my team, or teams, I should say, because we have several, when they're going out and they're like, I need this, your profile is going to pop up. with your phone number and with your resume. And it's really important when you think about your resume and when you're uploading it, and this is getting into nitty gritty, but I think it's important to talk about. You know, we all staffing agencies have these very sophisticated databases now. And for you designers, you know, you want to get fancy on your resume. Don't get too fancy. You can have a fancy version and a standard version and have that link to your portfolio on your resume. The resume itself doesn't have to be fancy, because what happens is the formatting gets a little funky a lot of times when it's being parsed out. And keep it simple, you know, keep the resume simple when you're uploading it to a website. It just tends to collect the data better, and you'll have many opportunities, you know, to share your portfolio and, you know, present your fancy version of your resume. But it's a weird thing that no one talks about. But as a recruiter, because I'm in our database looking at resumes, and it's the ones that are pretty basic that are really easy to read, frankly. And sometimes you just get that 2 minutes for a recruiter to, you know, look at your information and really think like you're the person. So something to think about. Don't overthink it. I'm not trying to make it too complicated, but and if you are in the design world, make sure you have a portfolio link and make sure that it's accessible, you know. And if you want to put a password, that's okay. But know that, you know, if you have confidential stuff that you can't share, totally cool. Otherwise, I would make it accessible, because it's just easier for the recruiters to really see your work and not have to go to the next step and contact you and get, and, you know, and I'm not telling people not to have a secure website. I'm just saying that if it's unnecessary, don't do it. And I guess the last thing I would add is just really, you know, we in agencies stay in touch. You know, if you do, you know, hook up with a recruiter in whatever establishment or whatever company, just keep in touch with them. You know, things change every day in this business. And if you're really open and really looking, you know, just obviously, like, things change all the time, and they're going to pretty much say, you know, look at the website, see what's happening. It changes daily. But if you really connect with someone, I would just say, you know, check in with them periodically and let them know kind of where you are and that you're still looking.
Thank you, Tanya.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Long-winded. Friday.
We can continue, the conversation with Tanya in the breakout room. So Gabriel, share with us 1 or 2 tips that you have in mind.
Yes, I will. I mean, everything that everyone has said is really on point. I'll say one thing more from someone inside the company, which is referrals are very important. There's a little of a self what would I call it? There's a want from someone inside the company to refer to someone that is good for a specific role, because a lot of companies have referral bonuses, right? So if you reach out to someone, let's say someone reaches out to me or to David for Microsoft with a couple of roles that they already want, and we talk to you, we see your resume, and we're like, oh, this person could actually be good at this role. We will put your resume into the HR tool, and that helps you, because automatically it sets up all the alarms and sets up a specific team that reaches out to you. So it helps the path be easier for you in that way. Referrals help you a lot. So keep that in mind when you reach out to someone, again, for any informational. That should be in your mind. That person, when you talk to that person should want to get you into their company.
Thank you, Gabriel. I saw that our recruiters and panelists have shared some job opportunities with everyone, and I will touch base with them. And when there are more opportunities, I will share that in our weekly jobs newsletter next Monday. So thanks so much for all of you to share the tips and best practice for landing a job. And let's now continue the conversation in our breakout room. So as I mentioned earlier, Evelyn will assign you to one room automatically. And our associate director, Gretchen, and I will join each room to facilitate the question. And then for the last of 15 minutes, feel free to join any rooms that you want. Okay, let me end here. And thank you for being part of our events. And thank you all.